you are thinking about getting a backpack or a truck gun, let's just say normally I would advise against it, but with everything going on in today's world, maybe it might be something that you consider. So I made a purchase of a gun that can fit in most of my bags pretty easily. And I want to talk to you about the mindset of such a weapon, why you may want to get it. This is the Brown Buffalo Concealed Tote. I'm a big fan of this bag. We'll probably do a full review very soon, but very inconspicuous looking bag. You wouldn't suspect that there is a AR style pistol, AR style weapon that is being put inside of that bad boy. But I mean, it is what it is. This is the Daniel Defense PDW 300 Blackout. It's a pistol length 7-inch barrel weapon. Weighs 5.7 pounds, completely naked before you add any optics or you do anything to the barrel or anything modifications to butt stocks or grips or anything like that. I wanted something small. I wanted something compact. It could be both a truck gun. I didn't have to run a sling if I didn't want to, and the possibility of running it in a bag as well. That's why I landed on this. I like the way it looks. I like the M-LOK attachments. There's a few modifications I've already done, but I think I may change some of those up already. I know it's kind of quick to think about, but why would you even want to have a truck gun or to have a bag gun, like a backpack gun, especially if you're concealed carrying a pistol on you already? One big thing would be the caliber that's normally on your hip, whether it's a 9, it's a 40, it's a 380, whatever. It does have limitations. Some of those limitations have to do with velocity, range, accuracy, even if you're a good shot yourself, the type of round that you have in the chamber, as well as the ability to penetrate certain surfaces. So the weapon that's normally on my hip normally can't penetrate tempered glass, go through it and still hit a target effectively. That's something I've been thinking about lately, is what is going to be the use case for a 6+1 magazine. If I'm carrying one additional magazine or whatever, is that going to be enough to get me back home to my family? I've been concerned about that with all the shootings going on lately. That's what led me to a backpack gun, a truck gun, and that's what led me to this. Daniel Defense, tried and true, tested, fantastic company. So I like the fact, I like what they do with their weapons, with their ARs. I know I could have got this done with a 300 Blackout that was probably near the $1,000 range. This entire setup as it stands right now cost me, I actually kind of got it on a good deal. The entire setup, this includes muzzle brake, optic, the folding stock, the pistol brace, the grip, was about $1,900. So everything that you see here would probably cost you upwards of, like, I don't know, near 3,000. You probably can get a decent, this optic is kind of old, so maybe you can get a good deal on that. But with that being said, let's just talk a breakdown, talk about some of the things that I have going on with this bad boy and how I intend to deploy it. You saw me pull that out of a bag. This, with the stock pistol brace, this thing is about 20 inches. It's still about that same length, but the thing is that this one, mine folds, so I do have the ability to break it down and make it even smaller. Great for use in a bag, great for use cases like that. The optic, I am running the Aimpoint H1. This is a 2 MOA for the red dot itself. This is an older optic, but what I like about it is a couple of things. First of all, a 50,000 hour battery life. That's about 5 years. The thing is that even Aimpoint themselves recommend that you don't turn the optic off. That way it's ready to go in an emergency situation. And so I'm a big fan of that. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is, even when I use the optic itself, I don't like the fact. So even when I use the optic itself, I don't like the covers themselves. I kind of may get a different solution. I kind of wish they flipped down. Maybe I could modify it, but the way that they're on here, they seem to be pretty good. But what I like about this red dot as well is that you can definitely use it with both eyes open so that you can still engage the target. You can still use the red dot and your eyes kind of adjust to that. I was a big fan of just how that feels. I've ran this on other weapons before, and this is a very just tried and true tested optic. If you keep this on medium and don't turn it off, you can get 25,000 hours. I mean, a few years of battery life, never turning this thing off. It could have some other features. I know there's other optics have shake to wake features, and all that stuff can fail. I know a lot of the stuff is reliable. I've seen a lot of testing of it, but I much rather have an optic I just leave on all the time versus one that's a shake to wake, and maybe that stuff doesn't work right, whatever. So this is what I decided to go with. On the used market, you probably can get this in the $430, $500 range. So mine is on a higher mount, which makes it easier to remove from the actual rails themselves. There's different rail options, different mount options. If you're running iron sights with this, you can probably get the lower mount versus the one that I have. It's going to be just all up to you, whichever one that you want to do. Now for the actual brace itself, I'm running the Magpul. This is the BTR arm brace. It's a mil spec. I like this because you still have the option to run a sling if you want to. I don't want to run a sling right now, even though I just picked up some pretty dope slings, but this does allow for the possibility of like a one-arm shooting of this weapon, because where it does brace, the bracing action on your body, let me act like a left-hand shooter for a second. The bracing action on your body will allow for possible one-hand shooting of this weapon if it's bracing against your forearm. So I kind of like the way that looks, the way that feels. And as well as, even if you are sighting down onto the optic itself, you can still use this pretty easily. Feels pretty good. The brace digging where it goes in onto your shoulder, it just feels really nice no matter how you're using this. So I like that. So everybody kind of each their own what they like to do. Magpul, tried and tested, great firearm accessories that they make overall. And I just think they do a good job. One thing I like about this brace is that no matter you fold it up, no matter how much you use it, it doesn't usually, it's still very easily to adjust, and it doesn't do any micro adjustments on its own. It kind of stays put, stays exactly where you want it to be. But kind of thing that this weapon is designed, I do have it set up to run a can. With all these changes that are coming up with the NFA, getting rid of the cost to actually get a tax stamp, I'm ready to make that purchase. And I've already started making some modifications on this in preparation for that. So I do have the Radiant arms. This is the Raptor SD. This specific charging handle is designed for once you're running your weapon suppressed, to actually push or to redirect gases down and forward away from my face when shooting the weapon once I've slapped a can on this, which can be something that you may be concerned with, is because, you want to be able to completely continue to shoot and not concern yourself with any gases creeping up into your face and actually taking off your line of sight or whatever. So kind of expensive for a charging handle, but I like the way it works. I like the fact that you can get it Cerakoted as well. It's well made. You can use your palm to strike it for different options if you ever need to send it home or whatever. I want to run one of these as well on my AR-10, but I like the functionality of it, and so it is what it is. The Kung Fu grip from Die Free. Now, I've ran this before on my AR-10, and I didn't like it. But I'm thinking that for this application, I'm going to enjoy it a little bit more, just the way it contours down. And also, I think when I ran it before, I didn't have the plug that you can buy from their website. It kind of gives you a little bit more area for your hand to go, and it has a storage for batteries. So if you want to run some CR batteries, some AA batteries, any type of tools, with any type of genius that you can come up with, you can run some tools in there. That might actually interest me to run this on other AR setups that I already have. I love the way this feels, kind of like the way it looks too. But this Kung Fu grip is something that's affordable, and it comes in multiple colors. I like that it matches up with everything already. So here's the thing that I think I want to change, even though it's kind of like a recent addition. The Chemo Muzzle Brake, this is a 3-port. This is a 5/8 by 24. I want a smaller, ounces matter in this carry, because this is going to be carried on my back pretty often, and I also want to be able to shoot this possibly one-handed if I need to. So ounces matter. This doesn't weigh a lot. A lot of this setup doesn't weigh a lot, but I'm thinking about possibly going away from the Chemo to the Chemo Zero, which is just a smaller application. Makes it fit even better in my bag if there's no can on it, and it will fit in more bags. I know it does. It's not a lot of like real estate right here, but I'm thinking about going with the Zero, which is less than half the size of this muzzle brake. I don't know how I feel about it yet. So the thing is that I've only put one magazine downrange with this, and I want to see overall how I feel about it after I put at least 500 rounds downrange. But the muzzle brake, the length of it has nothing to do with the amount of rounds that I put down range. It just has to do how it fits in my bag. So me personally, I like the sound. I can tolerate the sound as it is right now with no can. I do know that for some people, it can affect how you feel. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. But I just want to be able to keep my options open for whatever I decide to do with the application of the weapon. And so the Chemo Zero is actually less than $100. They do have it in the 5/8, about 24. You can still run a can on it. Now, here's the question I have for you guys. I want to get a mags. I want to get some mags. Right now, the mags I have are only 30 rounders. I want to get 10 and 20 rounders mags for this. I know Magpul has some great mags. There's some good sales going on right now on the base website for some mags. So let me know what your favorite magazines are. And then give me some can recommendations. Should I stick with Dead Air, who makes the actual muzzle brake itself? Should I go with someone else with some of your cans, especially if you're running on a 300 Blackout platform? I would love to know some of the things that you are running. And overall, is there any additions that you would do, whether they're M-LOK or any addition? I don't know if I want to run a light on this. I really want this to be as streamlined as possible to pull out of as many different bags that I decide to run this on. And it can get so complicated, sloppy, the more stuff you add on this. You can add Kung Fu grips, you can add a hand stop, you could add lights, you could add all that stuff. I don't run night vision, so I don't need anything when it comes to IR. This can be ran in a bag. This can be ran on your truck itself. Any of the popular bags that you could think of nowadays, this thing will easily go into. You saw me put it in that Brown Buffalo concealed tote. But if you wanted to run it in something like your Vertex Ready Pack 3.0, easy. Let me show you. All right, here you go. Vertex Ready Pack 3.0. You see it can be ran in here pretty easily, but the biggest issue I have is that muzzle brake. It fits in here, but I want to be able to run it in even more bags. I like about the Ready Pack bags is that they have super fast deployments if you're going to be running it out of this, but that muzzle brake is just a little bit shorter, would just make it much more functional. One setup that I was very interested in running this in was the Vertex Ghost series. This is a 20-liter bag. To run it in this bag, my issues I am having right now are, as I've said before, the muzzle brake. I can get it in here, but I would like to put it in the very back of the bag. And putting it in the very back of the bag where the laptop holder's at, there's a kind of false bottom at the bottom, and it kind of almost makes it prohibitive. If I run it in the middle of the bag, it works just fine. Maybe if I still run a laptop, still run accessories, I can maybe run it in the middle of the bag. That might be an option. It does fit in here pretty seamlessly, but it's kind of moving around in there because it's not in the laptop. It's not in the very back of the bag. And the issue I'm having is the length of the muzzle brake. So if I were able to get this back here, it kind of forces its way in, and it's in there, but sometimes it just doesn't close as seamlessly. So it's in there right now, but I still would like a little bit more comfort if I can just get it a little bit lower. I like this bag a lot just because of the features that it has. Be able to kind of run it like, you know, if you're running armor in this bag, it's much more streamlined. It's much more muted than the Ready Pack. This is a great bag, especially if you're going to be running an AR platform. But everybody likes to do stuff different, and I can understand that. Comment down below. What do you think about a backpack gun? What do you think about a truck gun? This is the setup right now as for running it for a backpack. Of course, I think about what type of mounting and brace system for a truck gun. Running it in my truck makes me draw pause because literally a few days ago, in the middle of the day, I checked my camera, and I'm just going to say a meth head, maybe it was a crackhead, I don't know, broke into my truck. When I say broke into my truck was unlocked during the middle of the day, parked in front of my house with almost every single one of my neighbors work from home or retired. So they saw this guy going into my truck, and he was just rifling around looking for money. Clearly was looking like a cracked out dude. He ignored the expensive knife that was in the compartment holder. He ignored the lighter, the flashlight. He ignored my Marshall speaker I had inside, my first aid kit, which was pretty valuable. He was looking for money. Stole all my quarters. I didn't have any other money in there. But imagine if it's the middle of the day. It is not an unusual thing to say that you may decide that if you're getting out of your vehicle and it's 1400 in the afternoon, you're getting back in your vehicle at 1430, you're parked in front of your house and you leave this mounted in your back seat. I mean, that could have been taken. I don't want to absentmindedly do that. So that's why I'm a little bit more hesitant to make it a truck gun. But that's also because I just had an experience of someone going through my shit and I didn't notice it. And it kind of sucks because I wish I could have noticed immediately, but he literally only stole quarters. So it is what it is. Comment down below. I would love to know what your comments down below. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.